President Biden once again in Florida.
Moments like this, we come together to take care of each other.
This time touring the damage from Hurricane Milton, our DC Bureau is live. A growing diagnosis.
Definitely, I do get burnt out a lot.
How ADHD is appearing in women. Facing struggles in the arts.
We have to put in the same amount of hours for less pay.
After a decrease in spending. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. Thanks for joining us. I'm Valentina Gaspari.
And I'm David Lascano. Today is Monday, October 14th, 2024.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
President Biden visiting a disaster zone here in Florida after 2 hurricanes make landfall in 2 consecutive weeks. The most recent visit was yesterday at the Tampa Bay area.
For more on federal response to the storm, we're joined by Caplin News DC Bureau reporter Anthony Cruz. Anthony?
Good morning, guys. And yes, President Biden yesterday announced $612 million to fund recovery projects across affected areas, which will be dispersed through the U.S. Department of Energy. He says that this will not only restore power across affected areas, but will also strengthen their resiliency for future storms.
Moments like this, we come together to take care of each other, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans.
President Biden is calling for unity in the recovery efforts, as the White House calls on Congress to return to Washington to vote on more disaster relief funding. The House and Senate are in recess until November 12th. However, House Speaker Mike Johnson told CBS's Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan yesterday that ending Congress's October recess early to negotiate a disaster relief package would be, quote, premature, despite the idea getting bipartisan support. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, has said that it has enough for ongoing recovery operations, but will need additional funding in the future. The Biden administration says the Small Business Administration's disaster loan program will run out of money soon.
But Speaker Johnson told NBC's Christian Welker on Meet the Press that estimating what these programs need takes time.
But importantly about that program, it is a supplement to private insurance and other disaster relief funding. And so by definition and necessity, it takes a few weeks to calculate it. But when the time is needed, we will cover the needs of small businesses. Congress is all on board.
Biden said that he would continue talking with congressional members regarding funding.
We want to make sure we get the money in there for small businesses, talking to the Congress to see if they can get the money quickly.
Yes, and while relief efforts are underway across the state this week, Governor Ron DeSantis yesterday was giving a news conference of his own not so far away in Treasure Island. Though they did not meet, according to the White House pool report, President Biden said that they have, quote, gotten on very, very well throughout this time. Reporting for Caplin News, live from Washington, D.C., I'm Anthony Cruz.
This Wednesday will mark a week since Hurricane Milton swept through Florida's Gulf Coast, leaving unimaginable damage. Even along the state's east coast, the wrath of Milton was felt. Emergency officials said that an outbreak of tornadoes touched down across Palm Beach and Okeechobee counties. Take a look at this house, one of many where the fence broke and the roof damaged the back patio. Homeowner Mike Caplin recounts what happened when Milton literally tore his home off its foundation.
I held on to the front door where it was going to blow in. I'm not even kidding. It was breathing like a heart.
And during the weekend, I had the chance to visit Wellington, where the National Weather Service reported that an EF3 tornado with winds of 140 miles per hour ripped through the area. Several wrecked cars, tree branches, and debris piled up on the streets. Now residents are helping each other recover.
And a possible third assassination attempt near a rally when the police arrested a man. The arrest was on Saturday just outside Coachella in California. Sheriff Chad Bianco revealed during a news conference yesterday that deputies stopped a 49-year-old Van Miller of Las Vegas. Officials noticed a series of suspicious activities, including a fake license plate, multiple driver licenses and passports, as well as a loaded handgun, shotgun, and extra ammunition. Federal officials have not yet confirmed any evidence that indicates that the man detained had any intentions to assassinate Donald Trump.
Differing diagnosis when it comes to ADHD. As Caplin's Manga Aguilera reports, men and women with the disorder are not getting viewed the same.
An increase in ADHD diagnosis in women has highlighted the concerns of underdiagnosis in younger girls. Many women are discovering their ADHD later in life, often after struggling with the challenges without understanding the cause. ADHD symptoms are different between genders. However, that does not mean that women's symptoms should be overlooked or ignored. Let's meet Nicole Gomez as she speaks on her experience with ADHD.
Definitely, I do get burnt out a lot, and I really like stimulation in a lot of things that I do. So I tend to get distracted or try to find conversation with other people rather than strictly paying attention to the curriculum of that day. I don't really see my ADHD as something that kind of holds me back. It definitely makes things interesting and challenging at times, but I've never thought it was something different that I needed help with. Regarding the misconceptions about ADHD, definitely a lot of people think that we can't pay attention to anything. I notice that people are like, oh no, she can't focus on anything. Oh, she's always distracted. Oh, she doesn't have any concept of time. I mean, I get late a lot of places, or really early, depends on the day. But I just feel like people think that my brain's never engaged in anything.
Studies show that men are 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD than women. This stems from a lack of education and research on ADHD symptoms in women.
In my professional opinion, I think that women are underdiagnosed because characteristics of and symptoms of ADHD are more attributed to the characteristics and personality of women, whereas in men is more extrovert and they show it more in the behaviors. The difference in symptoms between men and women who have been diagnosed with ADHD is they actually overlap between each other. However, in women, the symptoms are more inattentiveness, whereas in men, the symptoms is more hyperactivity. However, they both lack concentration and focus.
It is important to acknowledge this underdiagnosis to encourage experts and doctors to find ways for women to be diagnosed at earlier ages. The underdiagnosis of ADHD in women is a real issue that continues to affect women every single day, which is why it is important to spread awareness. I'm Megan Aguilera reporting for Caplin News.
Funding in Florida leaves some artists feeling left out. Caplin's Carla Mendez reports from West Miami-Dade.
While Miami-Dade artists and organizations fight to survive among recent state budget cuts, a new problem arises. Unemployment rates may skyrocket in the arts and tourism industry. On June 12th, Governor Ron DeSantis slashed $32 million of Florida's arts and cultural funding just weeks before the start of the fiscal year. 3 months in, roughly 200 local organizations and the employees who run them are left scrambling to make ends meet.
Not only has our pay been reduced, it's also a matter of the fact that we have to put in the same amount of hours for less pay because we're not getting the same amount of funding that we used to get.
When asked for his motivations behind the cuts, Governor DeSantis shared his disapproval over supporting initiatives he considered an inappropriate use of taxpayer dollars. Many argue that the cuts were unwise considering how the arts boost local and state economies. In 2022, Florida's arts and culture industries generated 91,270 full-time jobs and $5.8 billion of economic activity. In Miami-Dade County alone, 31,515 jobs and $2 billion of economic activity were created.
The budget cuts are going to affect every single person, artist, institution, everyone within inside this economy, so we really need to make the difference to really advocate for the arts and cultural department.
Local arts and cultural organizations are stretching their limited resources. Those employed by the industries have begun protesting and petitioning at the county level to ensure increased funding and job security for the 2026 fiscal year. Against all odds, these employees continue to fight against the starving artist stereotype and work towards a future where creators are properly compensated. Reporting for Caplin News, I'm Carla Mendez.
So Valentina, what has Elon Musk been up to lately? Time travel, lightsabers?
Well, he's probably thinking the sky's the limit, which is exactly true because SpaceX launched what they call the most powerful rocket ever built.
And that's still ahead, and so is the story.
I'm kind of immune to it, but it is still mind-boggling that these pumpkins can get so big.
A firefighter breaks a state record with something out of his backyard. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantore here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family, and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depressing stuff. That's what white people think. You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
A first responder shows off his green thumb. A Colorado firefighter harvests a 1-ton pumpkin, officially breaking a state record.
Brad Bledsoe, a fire medic with the Aurora Fire Rescue, decided to grow a pumpkin that ended up weighing, get this, 2,083 pounds, beating his previous best at 195 pounds.
Was just grass and needed some like landscaping love, and she was like, why don't you just throw a pumpkin in? And I was like, well, why don't we do one of those big pumpkins?
Brad still has long ways to go, with the current world record for a grown pumpkin being more than 2,700 pounds.
And SpaceX Starship, the most powerful rocket ever built, completed its test flight in dramatic fashion. The Super Heavy rocket booster and spacecraft launched early Sunday from Boca Chica, Texas. The ship flew halfway around the world before crashing in the Indian Ocean. No one was on board, but this flight was a crucial step towards making a Starship a fully reusable rocket system. You're watching Newsbreak, and we're coming right back.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every day.
Millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
And banding together.
we should still make an effort
We should still make an effort.
to get to know each other.
On a deeper level. Father.
Cosplayer.
Mentor.
Actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. It's been a pleasure. I'm David Lascano.
I'm Valentina Gaspari. Get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.